All right, cool. So welcome back. Thanks for being patient. All right. Um, okay, so right, so we had stopped on the definition for homeostasis. So if you are ever asked to, give a definition, this will be the definition that you're gonna give. All right. Mm, all right. Now, why is this important? Why is homeostasis important? Remember, your enzymes work at a particular temperature. Your body functions, or your body functions at certain glucose concentrations. Hence the reason your body has hormones to control the increase and decrease of your glucose. And then you cannot function on a dehydrated body. All right. So basically, you need to maintain a constant environment so that your cells can do all of the work that it needs to do. All right. And being 37 degrees Celsius allows for your enzyme to carry out their functions. So it allows for respiration, it allows for the release of energy through respiration. All right. It allows for all of the metabolic processes in your body to take place in the right timing that they should take place. All right, so it doesn't leave room for stalling, buffering, anything like that. And by you maintaining the temperature, always ensures that these enzymes work at their optimum. Because remember, enzymes, if the temperature becomes too high or too low, they become denatured. All right, so that's why you feel the way that you feel when you have a fever. Okay. All right. So now we come to the section of the skin. All right. You'll need to learn this. GCE people, you'll need to learn to label it and relate structures to their functions. CSEC people, you'll need to draw it and label it and relate structure to function. All right. Luckily, you'll now have added time to learn this. So I strongly suggest that you do, because your mock exams and your end of term and all of that would of course have all of this in it, because it's part of the past papers, it's part of your exam. Okay, so let's just break it down. The skin, it has two main layers. The main layers would be your epidermal layer. So you have your epidermis, which, as we learned when we were studying the structure of plant leaves, we learned that epi means upper. All right, so we have the upper layer, which is here, this entire brown part on top, right here. Hopefully, I hope you're seeing my cursor. That's your entire epidermal layer. So it entails that brown part. When you can pinch yourself, you see that brown part there. That is the entire epidermal layer, plus a little part underneath that, okay, where you would have your temperature receptors, okay? Your epidermal layer consists of a conified layer. What exactly is a conified layer? It is basically when cells, sorry, I don't know what are cells, sorry, cells from this epidermal part of your skin right under here, all right, the smoother brown part underneath the conified layer, of course. When they divide by mitosis, they move upwards, all right? When they move upwards, they die and they are filled with keratin. And this is what forms your hard layer on the outside of your skin. So the part where you scratch your hand, the part where you just put your tattoo, the part where hairs just grow on your hand, and basically what you could hold and pinch and all of that, that is your conified layer. If you scratch yourself now, if your skin is dry and you see that white kind of residue, all of that are dead cells. All right, and this conified layer is very important, because if you'll notice from the diagram, everything that lay underneath the conified layer is protected by the conified layer. All right, so we spoke about the skin being the largest organ in the human body. because it is what is responsible for protecting the entire body. Without your skin, you would just be walking tissue. And then you would be exposed to all of the elements, all of these pathogens, bacteria, viruses. You will be exposed to all of that. So your cornified layer actually prevents diseases and pathogens from just waltzing into your body. So if they try to waltz in, they'll bounce back off because of this. When this conified layer is injured, that is when you would start to bleed and your blood has to clot in order to form like a protection to prevent pathogens from entering into your body. Okay, so your conified layer is very, very crucial and important in protecting your body. All right, so right, as I was saying, your epidermal layer is the top layer of your skin, which is that whole brown part up there. All right, and inside there you have your temperature receptors as well. So this is why you're able to sense changes in your environment. You're able to sense increases and decreases in temperature, okay, because of the temperature receptors that you have, and just basically receptors in general. All right. Remember, you have touch, and you have your sense of touch, you have your sense of feeling, where you could perceive certain stimuli. So if somebody touch you, because you have temperature receptors, you'll feel that. All right. So which is why you need it there, so that you could sense and change accordingly. All right. Also, on top of your conified layer, you'll see you have a sweat pore here. All right. So basically, this is why when it is you're sweating on your arms and legs, etc., this is why you would actually get sweat right throughout there, because of the presence of sweat pores that will be on the conified layer. And you have this all throughout your body. Basically, wherever you have skin, you will have a sweat pore. So you will be able to sweat in whichever nook and cranny in your body. All right. Your sweat pores are again crucial, because you see this here? Because you are sweating, you enable your body to control your temperature. You enable your body to get rid of excess heat. All right, because when you sweat and the sweat evaporates, it actually takes some of the heat with it and it dissipates it into the atmosphere, which is why you feel that cool sensation as your sweat evaporates. All right, so you have your conified layer, you have your sweat pores all up here, and you have your temperature receptors. All right. Now what is hidden now under the epidermis is called your dermis layer. All right, which is the second layer of your skin. All right, epidermis, dermis. Epi meaning upper, dermis is just underneath. Okay, so this is where you're going to see all the intricate mechanisms that your skin has. All right, so you have a neuron on your, we looking at the left side here. Right? You have a neuron, which, as you can see, is also somewhat connected to your epidermal layer, which also enables you to feel. Okay, so you have temperature receptors, which will perceive the changes in temperature, and you have neurons, which will perceive anything else, touch, pain, whatever. Okay, so based on your you being able to sense all of this is how your body would react. Okay, you have a pressure receptor, right, which will sense any type of pressure that you'll be receiving. Okay, basically pressure as in if it is you are being squeezed, you would be able to feel all of that. All right, you would also be able to sense blood pressure and all of that. So that is what your pressure receptor would be responsible for. You also have shunt vessels. So you're seeing here you have your blood capillaries. All right, so again, we come back to blood capillaries. We'll come back to arterioles and venules. I told you this will come back to haunt you. And here it is, haunting you. All right. So basically, you need to have blood capillaries here, because If it is you're talking about regulation of body temperature, remember your blood and your blood plasma, all right, seeing that your blood plasma is what is responsible for the environment of your cells, that has to always maintain the right temperature. And what proper way to do that? What other way to do that than have it come through your capillaries and go through your skin? Because if it is your body is too hot, what will happen is that your blood will flow rapidly throughout your capillaries, not through your shunt vessels. I will come into the shunt vessels. It will flow rapidly throughout your blood capillaries and it will go as close to the skin as possible and it will get rid of whatever heat that it would be carrying. All right. And that is why when it is you exercise plenty or you're feeling hot, well, warm, you tend to look plush. You tend to look plush, like a pinkish kind of color, because your blood is flowing rapidly close to the surface of your skin in order to get rid of all of the excess heat. All right. However, your shunt vessels are there to conserve heat in your body. So it's like an alternative route when your body doesn't want to get rid of excess heat, but rather when it wants to conserve heat, as in when temperatures are way too cold. All right. If you look underneath, you will see some little fat cells. So these cells make up a layer of tissue called your adipose tissue. These cells, they store layers of fat and oil which are responsible for insulating your body. All right. So basically this insulation not only provides you with warmth, but it cushions your bones as well. All right. So it provides you with support then that your body would need. All right. So this is why, like the more adipose tissue a person has as well, if a real skinny person who lacks body fat as compared to a thick person who has more body fat, if they jumped off at the same building, all right, with the same height or whatever, the chances of the very, very thin person breaking something is very, very high as compared to the thicker person who has a lot more of the adipose tissue because they have more cushion. All right. So you see, they try to convince us that fat is bad, but fat is good. All right. We have, right. So then we come back now to venules and arterioles because remember, from your veins, you break off into venules, and from your arteries, you break off into arterioles, and they all connect up to form a network which is called your capillaries, right? So that is what you would find at the bottom here, and you'll see your capillaries are at the top here. All right. Also, you would notice that you'll have erector muscles and you have a hair follicle. So if you look on your hands, all right, you'll see hair. Some of us have more hair than others. That's just nature. That's just genetics. All right. So you'll notice that when it is you are feeling cold, that your hairs stand up and you get like what is called goosebumps, right? You would actually see all your pores raise, right? What is responsible for the raising of your hair follicles are your hair erector muscles. So when you are feeling cold, this particular muscle here contracts and it causes your hair to stand up and vice versa when your hair is laid down as it should be now, because I don't think anyone of you are feeling cold unless you are feeling cold, right? It would the hair erector muscles would relax and your hairs would lie flat. You would even observe this in animals, like furry animals. When the place is cold, you would see them looking like a fluff ball. It's like they would just go and curl up in a corner, and all their hair and everything would just stand up more, and they will they would just look like a big fluff ball. Right. So with static, Desha, it will cause, okay. So what will happen is that the static, the mild form of electricity will cause the hair erector muscle to contract, which will in turn cause your hair to stand up. So it will have an effect on your hair erector muscle, which will cause your hair follicle to stand up, and that is why it does that. Other than that, it will stand up when you're feeling very, very cold. All right, you will just see your hair stand up on end, which has to be because the hair erector muscle is made to contract. All right, you understand? Okay. What else I have to talk about? Right. I want y'all to focus on the hair follicle now, right? You'll see in this little pocket here, like next to it on the left hand side, it's brown and it just looking kind of icky, right? You see in the brown outer layer, like a little pocket, and you're seeing some brown fluid inside. What that is that it's called sebum, all right? And it's produced from the sebaceous gland. What happened is that when the hair follicle, yes, check out Marina, she come out. Very good, very good. It is called the sebaceous gland. And what happens is that right, so what happened is that it's actually formed when the hair follicle is actually folded in when it's being produced. Exactly, Emily. I know they should do it in HSB. Jesse, where Jesse at? Jesse's supposed to be here answering these things, like saying, yeah, miss, there's that, you know? So, right. And this sebum is produced in order to keep the hair follicles moist. So this is why even the hair on your head as well, it turns oily after a while because of the sebum that is produced. And then that is actually very healthy for your hair. But and the longer your hair is, the more that actually helps to condition your scalp too. But yeah, so it's not really wise that as soon as every little bit of oiliness you see, you just run fast and shampoo it off, right? That'll actually damage your hair. All right, so your hair actually needs that a little bit. All right, so that is the sebum, your hair follicles. And you see underneath your hair follicle, you have a capillary. This is why when it is your massage your hair, when it is your washing your hair, it is good to massage your hair because it will stimulate the blood flow, which will increase the production or the formation of hair follicles. It will increase it. All right, so all of those things are good for you. Head massage is very good. Okay, so treat yourself to it. All right, and what you're seeing that the sweat gland on the right here is entangled in a capillary. This is because whatever excess ingredients, whatever excess materials, substances that are contained in the blood, like for example, excess water, excess urea, very, very small amounts of urea. It's not to say like you're peeing through your skin, right? Very, very small amounts of urea and a small amount of salt as well. If you taste your sweat, it tastes salty, right? That is because all of those are in excess, and when it is you sweat, it is produced, it actually is what is form your sweat. And that is what is transported from the blood in whichever part, in all parts of your body actually, to your sweat gland, which will then, from the blood, it goes into your sweat gland, and then from your sweat gland goes up through the sweat pore, and you sweat it out. All right. So that is how you are able to sweat. Okay, so you'll learn this image, learn it well. You need to, for GCE people, you will need to label it, relate structure to function. And for CSEC people, you'll need to draw a label and relate structure to function. All right? Okay, so let me get into the explanation more, see what it is I did not explain here. All right. So all of this I explained, the top layer versus the lower layer. Right, so the layer of cells at the base of the epidermis, which creates more of the cells that contribute to your conified layer, is called the Malpighian layer of cells. All right, so it is found at the base of the epidermis. So, right, let me just go back. Right here, where this brown part is, where I told you all, all right, the latter part of the epidermis, that is where your Malpighian layer will be found. And the cells will divide by mitosis. They will make identical copies. And remember, we said that mitosis is your body's Kagebushi no Jitsu, for those of you who do Naruto, right? Which is where your cells are able to make identical copies of itself. So it's like cloning, all right? So it's like me creating hundreds of Varshas. Mhm. And once these cells divide, they move to the surface and they die and become filled with keratin, which is why it is important as well. What provides a component of keratin is vitamin E as well. So when you take a lot of vitamin E and um, when you take a lot of vitamin E, you have a glow on your skin, and it also helps, to replenish how your skin would be. All right. Okay. So yes, I spoke about the conified layer. Well, remember it's waterproof. So it's not to say like, it's absorbing water and it will go all the way down to your tissues and your blood and you just become this waterlogged creature that walk in the earth, after you beat and stuff like that. So we're not like a sponge then, so to speak. That's what it means by waterproof. All right. Right. Now, in the areas of your body that are exposed to more wear and tear, like the soles of your feet, the conified layer would be thicker. All right. It's always constantly being replaced by new cells. All right. But in the case of your heel now, it is a much thicker layer because it is always in use, so therefore it is always being worn away, so more and more cells move to that area. All right, and that's why it hardens. All right. In the epidermal part of your skin now, you contain melanin, all right, which is basically that pigment that is responsible for absorbing harmful UV rays in the sunlight. All right. So without that, your cells will be damaged, and the radiation will injure the deeper layers of the skin. And the more melanin you have, is the lesser risk you have at contracting any skin disease or any type of skin cancer. All right, those who are paler and have less melanin, like those who live in really cold climates, they are higher at risk for skin cancer and skin disease and so forth. All right, so you'll have to count your blessings as well. Okay, and here as well, you would see I have information about hair follicles and the sebaceous gland. So the hair follicles would be formed when the epidermal layer of skin is folded inwards and
Excuse me, so you can just go back quick, please.
to
Yeah.
which one? The
No,
skin layer?
this one. The
This
skin
one?
layer.
Skin layer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not the picture.
This?
Yeah.
Or this? Okay. This.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Right. So yeah, when it is the hair follicles grow out of each one now, it needs to be, conditioned. It needs to be kept moist. So therefore you have the sebaceous gland, which will produce the sebum that is responsible for keeping the hairs nice and moist. All right, Rika, no problem. Okay. So this is what we were just explaining. Okay, so your dermis layer now, which is the lower layer, it is mainly comprised of collagen fibers. All right, so this is why your skin, when your skin begins to sag or get wrinkly and all of that as you get older, it is really because the collagen is lacking from your body, right? um, and what happened is that you'll have to do you could either get collagen treatments and so forth in order to keep your skin looking as youthful as possible. um, those celebrities in Hollywood typically do that. So they always get themselves injected as much as possible because, they always want the skin looking tight. And collagen is what is responsible for the elasticity and the youthful look that your skin will have. So all you people who are young, enjoy it. We I should say who are young, we have to enjoy it because the time will come when we'll watch ourselves in the mirror and then all of a sudden we count on all the wrinkles that we have. All right. Okay, so your sweat glands are also formed in your dermis, as we saw, which are responsible for secreting your sweat. You have blood vessels and nerve endings, which are also found within your dermis layer of the skin, which have your nerve endings, and they are what enable you to actually perceive changes in your environment. So when temperature increases, when temperature decreases, that's how you are actually able to be like, hey boy, the place making real hot. Or hey, the place making real cold. That is how you are able to perceive this because of the nerve endings that you have in the dermis layer of your skin. All right. And then we just saw as well in the picture the layer of fat called the adipose tissue, and that's how you spell it, adipose. Um, so it's at the bottom of the dermis, and it's that fatty tissue that is made up of cells which contain the droplets of oil and they insulate you and act as a food reserve. All right, now in whales, they also have this layer within them because of the climate that they are more exposed to, and then the depths of the ocean that they often, would find themselves. All right. So basically, because of one, the climate and the temperature under the water and the depths of the ocean where they usually are, they need to have excess fat within them. And in ancient times, they always did whale hunting so as to collect the fat from the whale, so that they could use it for heating purposes and for their own selfish gains. All right. Well, not really selfish; it's really survival, right? So yeah, so whales have a whole lot more than we would, right? Like you could actually get buckets and buckets of fat deposits and all of that from the whales. Okay. And then they would utilize his skin to make clothing and so forth. So this is why they used to, whale hunting is a big thing, or used to be a big thing in colder climates. Okay. All right. All right, so the hypothalamus of the brain. Now, we know that your skin is responsible for temperature control. We know that your skin is specially designed in order to either decrease or increase your body temperature. But how is it that it knows to do this? How is it that, I mean, we know that your skin has receptors and all of that, but I mean, the hypothalamus of the brain is really the part of you that is responsible for issuing these commands. So what happens is that you perceive the drop in temperature, yes, all right, but when the blood passes through the hypothalamus of the brain, it senses, right? So it operates much like a thermostat would. So when it senses that the blood that passes through it is above or below 37 degrees Celsius, it would send electronic impulse, which are like encoded messages along your nerves to the special body parts that would regulate the bodily temperature. All right. So when it is you start to shiver, is because your hypothalamus of your brain telling your body to initiate shivering mechanism. So it's like, hey, this temperature too low. Here, what? Start to shake, right? And then you start to shake, and that produces heat. Okay, when it is your again, when it is you're feeling too cold, your hypothalamus will be like, hey, all right, well, you're shaking, your hair needs to stand up now, so here, stand up. And those are the messages that are transmitted from the hypothalamus of your brain. All right, so that is the part of you that is responsible. So that is like your thermostat. All right. Thank you, David. I'm glad that you take to the examples. All right. So even like in your house, like if it is you have a thermostat, right? Or when it is you put the air condition to way to set it on again? The particular setting that you just set your air conditioner on, so that when, like, I can't remember if it's energy saver mode or what, but when the room gets cold enough, it shuts off the compressor, and then when the temperature decreases again, it would trip on back the compressor, and it will go again. All right. So that is exactly how your body would. Right. All right, so we have the hypothalamus and all that. Okay, so I have a video to show you all as well. So, but I'm seeing that we have like 7.5 minutes. Let me see what the next slide has. Uh-huh. All right, let me show you all this video, and then we'll get to that. But for us to not cut off in the middle of the video, I'm going to restart the meeting. All right, so again, same credentials, same meeting passwords. I'll see you all back in a little bit. Hopefully, I mean, we shouldn't have to endure this for too much longer. We just have to endure it about twice again, right? But don't worry, we'll get everything done, right? And again, thanks for being um with all of this. Okay, so I'm going to end the meeting now, and I'll see you all back shortly. And when you all come back, is meeting time. I mean, is movie time.